Welcome to the AskOkey podcast. Once again, a Monday. To all our American friends out there, we hope you had a very pleasant Thanksgiving weekend, that you have plenty for which to be thankful. And if you put on a few extra pounds over the Thanksgiving weekend, you may be in need of something new here at AskOkey. Now, before I get to the Proff and this evening's lineup of exciting topics, don't forget, some men wear clothes to flatter their already flattering physique. Others, that's the Proff. Others, like myself, we wear clothes to hide the sorry remnants of our physiques. So whether you're the former or the latter, and you want some panache in your wardrobe, AskOkey is the place. Like, subscribe, and pre-order, if you've a mind to, in that order. Prof, welcome, good evening, and how are you?
I am doing exceedingly well.
Really? Good. Glad to hear it. Yes, Prof appears looking perfect, magnificent, and one wonders if Prof exists in between podcasts, or he sort of reappears in the chair there, just for the podcast, magically attired in something new. And this, I think, is this something new, or is it?
Well, it's not entirely new in the sense that this is this is an SKU we released, I believe, it's almost 2 years now, 2023. It's a 3-roll 2, if you don't mind me standing.
Yeah, go ahead, Prof.
It's a 3-roll 2 jacket.
Right.
Yes. And we released this in 2023, I believe. And this was one of the suits that were made as we are wont to do with our marketing garments.
Yes,
and I don't get to wear it very often because it's quite a hefty tweed.
Yes.
And so I get to wear it just when the weather cools down a bit, as it has. Obviously,
yes, indeed.
We're in November, so we're in the fall, and it's time to bring out the tweeds.
It is.
Well, yours is not quite a tweed.
No, it's not a tweed.
It feels like lamb's wool.
Yeah, it is. It's a fox lamb's wool. Tim recommended it.
Beautiful lamb's wool in a houndstooth.
Yes, it is.
Houndstooth.
Very large houndstooth.
Yes.
In fact, it's deceptive because when you look at the picture on the internet, the hound's teeth don't look quite so large, but this is obviously a fair-sized hound at one point, and you've got some hound's teeth on yours. Shall we?
Yeah, they're very small houndstooth patterns buried in the light blue overchecks.
Yes, it's quite something, isn't it?
It's sort of a window pane. It's a houndstooth pattern with a light blue window pane overlay.
Yes. Yeah. And it's got a light brown. I don't know if we can get a close-up of it here, but it's got a light brown land, or back, as you would say, background, and then sort of a khaki-colored houndstooth
pattern.
And a
light blue overcheck.
Or a bright blue overcheck. It's quite striking, isn't it?
Also by Fox, by the way.
Ah, is it? Okay, yes. And what do we, sort of 500 grams or something?
Oh, this is Cheviot. This is more than 500. This is about 600 grams.
Oh, crumbs.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's about 6, if I remember correctly. Might be about 6. It's quite chunky, about 625.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It doesn't feel that heavy, but it is quite a heavy tweed.
So no wonder it only gets brought out
when the weather cools. Yes.
Yes, indeed. Because that's built for the Arctic. It's 650. And you said it's Fox. Is that one of the limited Fox?
I believe so. This was a run they did quite some time ago. Like I said, this suit is about 2 years old now. And the cloth I might have even bought a year or two before that. Sometimes I pick up when I see things I just pick them up and I store them here in my studio.
Yeah.
So this might have been a run Fox did about 2022, 2021.
Right. Okay.
Thereabout.
And when they do a run, how much do they make?
I think they typically gauge the demand. Usually something instigates the run. Usually a group of people come together and they try to recreate a historical cloth, maybe something that might have been worn by Cary Grant or someone.
Right, yes.
Or something that might exist in Fox's archive.
Yep.
And so what they do is that typically they gauge the demand for it. But I would reckon they make them in probably one roll or two rolls.
Right.
2 rolls. So a roll is 60 meters.
Right, okay.
And so, which is 15 suits.
Mm-hmm.
So, or 15 suit length approximately. So I reckon they make them just enough for maybe 15 or maybe 2 rolls.
Right.
If it's a more, shall we say, conventional pattern.
Yep.
If it's a radical pattern, as they sometimes do, I mean, business sense suggests you make it in limited quantity because there's a smaller market for it.
Sure.
So something like this, they probably made a couple of rolls, maybe 120 meters, and probably sold out.
So there aren't that many men walking around wearing that same pattern.
Probably not. Quite a few. You might find a few in Scotland, in Edinburgh.
Yes. Or out on the moor shooting
out
at
in
birds.
The moor shooting grouse.
Yeah. But could you make a coat out of that?
Possibly. You can make a coat out of it.
Might be heavy enough for a coat.
It's heavy enough for a light spring coat. I mean, this is not a coating. It's still a tweed. Still a tweed, I guess, a jacket. It's really a jacketing, actually. But I just decided to make a full 3-piece suit.
Sure. So it's got a third piece.
Oh, it does. It's a 3-piece suit. It comes with that's a waistcoat hanging up there.
Okay.
So it is a full 3-piece suit.
Yeah.
I thought it would be an interesting fabric to do it, and the reason whenever I look at tweeds that are labeled as jacketings, if the patterns are extremely bold, then I tend to demur a little bit.
Right.
But the patterns here are not extremely bold, and from a distance, it could almost appear as a plain beige.
It does, in fact, yes.
From a distance. And so with fabrics like this, sometimes I like to sort of adventure a little bit and make a 3-piece suit out of it. Because with the larger patterns or the much more colorful patterns, you just look like a partridge, from a distance. Well, unless you're Nick Folks, who can pull up just about anything.
Yeah, I suppose, yes.
But if you're not Nick Folks, then you probably want to err on the side of that.
Yeah, that's right. You don't want to be upstaged by your clothes, Prof. Let's put it that way.
Well, unless you have the personality to upstage your clothes.
Which, of course, you do. Rumor has it that you were seen at a watch event wearing your lavender suit, I think.
Yes, lavender tweed.
Oh, you brought that out of retirement.
It did come out. It did make a showing again. It's one of those suits I probably wear maybe once a year, a couple of times a year. And it's thankfully the weather is cooling. So I was going to the Dubai Watch Week.
Oh, okay.
And it's one of those things where you go to see and be seen.
Right.
And I thought, well, if you're going there to be seen, then there's only one way to ensure that you are seen.
Indeed, yes.
And so, I pulled it out, and of course, it did garner quite a bit of attention.
I bet it did. Yes. Did anybody express an interest in having one like it?
Well, I think a lot of gentlemen, generally speaking, are very timid when it comes to color.
Sure.
When it comes to color, I find that men are very timid.
Yes.
But again, if you have the personality to pull it off, why not?
Sure.
We've had this conversation in the past. The reason why I experiment a lot with color and patterns is just to completely, shall I say, repudiate this idea that a suit is just this boring thing that is meant to be worn to the office. And I think that's really how we started when we founded AskOkey. The idea is, well, if you're not a corporate type that goes to the office, is there a place for a suit in my wardrobe? And the answer, of course, is yes.
Yes.
Well, then how do you do that?
Yeah.
You do that by being expressive.
Absolutely.
Expressing yourself in the form of color, in the form of the cut, in the form of the patterns, and so on and so forth.
Indeed.
And that's really one of the things I think that set us apart in the beginning. Is just a lot of people were attracted to the way, we put together, or shall I say, I put together color and patterns. Are things that were out of the ordinary, but not bizarre.
Yep.
So I think that's again one of the things that we try to show in our educational series, or over our podcast, or what you and I wear, is that there's a lot of life beyond your blues and your gray.
Oh yes.
Your gray worsted suits. So when you say suit, a lot of people, what comes to mind is a man in a dull blue or gray suit.
Of course.
And part of our mandate here as AskOkey is to use the full extent of our toolkit to show our audience and our customers that there is so much you can do.
Indeed,
with your suits.
Absolutely. And I mean, something like that window pane with the bright blue, you see, if you had just got a jacket in that fabric, you could put different kinds of trouser colors with it.
Of course.
You could have the flannel in one
gray
season.
Flannel, cricket
even
whites.
the cricket whites, yeah. So
cavalry twill.
Yeah, I think it's about, as you said, it's about being expressive, but it's also about having some knowledge, because there's such a thing as expressive, and then there's, shall we say, slightly wacky. And so you can be expressive if you know how to do it. And if you don't, then that's when I think quite a number of people, maybe they're a little bit shy because they're not quite sure because for example, your lavender tweed suit, if it were a shade brighter, it wouldn't work.
No.
And if it were, do you know what I mean? If it were actually bright pink.
It would have to be a particular shade. Actually, it's not pink. It's a lavender.
It's a lavender,
It's a cool lavender blended with a lot of gray.
Absolutely,
so there are gray yarns going through it.
Yes.
So the gray really sort of desaturates the lavender.
Indeed, yes.
It desaturates it. So, of course, when you look at it, what comes to mind is pink, because that's the thing that's closest to it.
Yeah, okay.
But in real life, it's not overpowering.
No,
it's just very, very lightly saturated. It's not, so it takes a little bit of, it's a sixth sense that you develop over time. I mean, I have that sixth sense for cloth now. Like, I don't even have to see the cloth or touch it. I can look at it on the computer screen and say, okay, I can see that could work. And very, very, it's very rare that I have a miss, very, very frequently. It's rare that I purchase a cloth and it turns out not being what I thought it would be when I receive it. And that comes with quite a bit of experience.
Well, now, I was just going to ask, because you said, now you can do it. How long did it take to get to that point?
I mean, this is 2025. I really started getting into custom clothing around 2004, 5.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So it's been, 20 years now?
20 years, yeah.
Before that, of course, I'd been into ready-to-wear. I mean, I used to buy the brands, Armani, and all whatnot. Even Oxford, I used to buy from Oxford in New York City. And then I started having my clothes made to measure at Oxford. And that was sort of my real first foray into custom clothing.
Yeah.
And so through that journey, you just learn a lot about cloth. And I remember I was just really rabidly passionate. I would, my lunch breaks, I remember at the time, I used to work at BlackRock. I would leave my lunch break, I would go into, let's say, walk into Saks Fifth Avenue or Bergedorf Goodman, or even maybe some of the discount stores like Century 21. And I would just go there and just sort of touch fabric. I would just literally go through the suit racks or sort of the coat racks or the, tailoring rack, just feeling, feeling fabrics and understanding, why a ketone suit feels different from, let's say, a canali suit. I started to learn the differences, just by feeling the fabric, I could start to understand what quality fabric meant.
Is there a difference?
Even before I knew what Holland and Cherry was, or what Fox, or what Harrison's, or Dugdale, I knew none of this, but I could tell, just feeling, touching, and just looking at fabric, I could tell sort of if it was well made, quality fabric or not. So over time, it's sort of an evolution. You start to develop a sixth sense for it. And then when you actually start making custom clothing, you're gonna have a few moonshots, right? Sometimes you go, even then at the time, you would pick a cloth from a swatch book. Say, I want that, and then the suit comes out, and you're like, whoa, and it did happen on not too many occasions, but I mean, I think I can recall quite a few garments that I had to literally give away because, when it came back from the tailor, it wasn't what I thought it would look like. So it takes a little bit of patience and trial and error. I mean, there's no way around it. Not all your commissions initially are going to be a bullseye. Right now, like I said, there's hardly any cloth that I pick that is not 100% because I have that sixth sense.
Right.
It's very rare. I don't think there's a single cloth that I've picked, say, in the last 4 or 5 years, certainly since we started AskOkey, there's no cloth that I've picked or that I've looked at that has turned out not to be exactly what I thought it would.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. Interesting. So anybody, though, could at least get some kind of a knowledge by exposing himself to the different fabrics.
It takes, again, Pete, have you seen my pantry?
Oh, yes.
Captain, have you seen my pantry? Have you seen have you seen all the tailoring, all the things lying around everywhere? How many garments do you think I've made over my lifetime? Guess.
Oh, I don't know, about 60, 70?
Guess. I probably made about 100 garments in my lifetime.
Right.
Custom.
Right.
When you say between custom, bespoke,
and made to measure.
I probably made about 100 garments.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's full of mistakes, right? My pantry you go to my library over there, I've got 2 full racks. I don't wear any of them today.
No.
Right? But I just leave them there because they're my mistakes. They're what you see today, right? People think you can just wake up one day and sort of look like Cary Grant. No. Yeah. I'm not suggesting that you go through 100 garments to get there, but for me, it was a little bit of an obsession.
Sure.
And I remember very clearly. It's a very interesting story, and I probably mentioned his name, and I hope he's watching this. I'm not ashamed or shy to mention it. Jassim Ahmed is this guy who does cigars.
Right.
Jassim Ahmed Official is like a cigar aficionado, the guy who does the cigar channel. I remember one day, it was around 2016 or 15. We were at an event, and he took a little bit of a jab at me, and that was when I was just starting to kind of like do the YouTube, channels. I ordered a ton of fabrics, and I was sort of going through this tutorial of how to create. Build a foundational wardrobe.
That's right.
And so I had to order a lot of fabrics and then commission a lot of garments, which a lot of them had mistakes. And I don't wear those garments anymore. Right. I remember him saying something very sarcastically at a function. He says, look at this dude, man. Other people are buying land and buying houses. You're just, buying suits and clothes and this and that. I will never forget that comment. I will never forget that comment. He said it to me and he laughed at me. He laughed. He laughed and kind of, obviously he made it, he said it in a way that was very derogatory.
Right.
It was meant as an insult.
Yeah.
And I will never forget that moment because I recorded it. And strangely enough, You can call him, and if he's watching him, he will tell you he congratulates me every day.
Really?
And every time we run into each other.
Yeah,
We ran into each other last week at a cigar event in Dubai.
Yeah.
And we did a photo op together. And it took many years, and he finally came to me and like, now I see where you were going.
Right. So you've got to go through that cycle.
You have to go through this cycle. And, you know, some people don't have, maybe some people don't have the obsession or the mania that I had to just sort of get to the perfect product.
Right.
Because every single product was an iteration. Every single failure was an iteration. I traveled to Italy. I traveled to China. Where did I travel to?
What did you do in China?
I mean, I was looking for, it was initially when I was looking at different ways of, doing an MTM or custom garment, right? So I went to China. I went to Suzhou. I went to Shanghai. I went to visit factories in Suzhou.
Okay.
Traveled all over Europe. So to understand, people ask me, oh, how do you have all this knowledge? And like you didn't, it's like you have to live it. You have to go through this, and not everybody has to. If you don't have that degree of passion or obsession
or patience,
right, or even means, right, because fortunately I was able to do these things, right. Not everybody has the means, but to develop that, what you might call taste, right? Tasting cloth, tasting cut, just tasting sort of how things work and how it takes a lot of wasted bullets. As Michael Jordan would say, it takes to be a sharpshooter, or to be it takes a lot of air balls. Shooting air balls. It takes a lot of air balls, to become, a good shot.
Yeah, and you can't do it. It's like driving or something. You can't do it by watching.
No.
If you know what I mean. You've actually got to get in there and do it.
I don't care how many episodes of AskOkey you watch, or how many episodes of, whatever it is you watch. You have to do it. You have to do it. That is really the only way to internalize the lessons.
Yes.
If you don't commission, garments, right, and actually feel it, it's not even, the cloth might be perfect, but the cut, right, things like the cut, what suits you. You don't learn from watching and reading and following Proff, right, on social media. You learn by actually commissioning things.
Skin in the game. Proff.
Absolutely.
Skin in the game.
And when it burns you, right, when you make a commission that turns out to be like a Thanksgiving turkey, like a burnt Thanksgiving turkey, and you get burned, you know not to do it again.
Now what does that mean? Sorry, I'm a little slow with this. What does that mean when you say a commission that doesn't work? I mean, you presumably get a jacket or a pair of pants or a suit out of it at the end?
Well, I mean, I'll give you an example. Why does AskOkey exist today? I used to have my clothes made in Italy. You don't even want to know how much I spent.
No.
I can quote you a figure. I mean, it will probably be sort of like, you might shiver, but I probably spent 6 figures.
Right.
Well over 6 figures, having stuff made in Italy.
Right.
Well over 6 figures.
Wow.
Right? I'm not even talking of the travel and all these sort of, all this sort of ancillary, sort of the garments, well into the 6 figures. And I had to condemn everything. I don't wear any of that stuff anymore.
But I remember. When we
So-
first met, you were wearing it.
So my point is this, is that if I look at all those garments today, okay, I commission them. Some of them were in batches and some of them were in large batches. And the reason why AskOkey exists today is simple. And I've told you this story before. I put on these garments and I stood up in front of the mirror. I'm like, what is wrong here? And I started trying to sort of identify things that are not right. I had to call a local alteration tailor. You know him.
I know him.
Mohammed. I said, Mohammed, I sat down with him. I said, if we were to reconstruct this garment, what would we do? We had to take those Italian garments and literally take them apart.
But they weren't that bad.
They weren't that bad. They didn't look that bad.
No,
but I knew I knew what I had in mind and what I wanted to create, and I knew they looked nothing like this. Now, Mohammed is not a bespoke tailor, but
No,
he's a
no.
good alterations
Yeah,
tailor.
very good. Yeah.
And he could sort of decompose a fabric, decompose a suit, and put it back together. So I sat down with him and we decomposed these coats. And I said, okay, what would we do differently if we were to do it right?
Prof, hold that thought.
What shoulder expression? Yeah.
Right, hold that thought. We'll be right back after station identification. You've seen plenty of skinny baby boy double-breasted suits. And you possibly despair of ever finding one that really does what a double-breasted's supposed to do. Now, as you know, AskOkey has been in the business for a while. We've been making double-breasteds, with some success, I might add, for some time now. Recently, we've just launched our made-to-measure line extension with double-breasted suits in our classic drape cut. So here's your opportunity to get in front of the line ahead of everybody else and get yourself a real double-breasted suit. Bye for now. Welcome back, and recharged your beverage, I hope, and possibly had a snack of some of the leftover Thanksgiving turkey if you are in the United States. Prof, you were saying, you went to Mohammed and you said, what would we do differently? But I'm curious because they were pretty good. I remember them.
They looked good to sort of, I suppose, what you might call sort of the unwashed eye, right? I'm not suggesting.
Like
I'm not suggesting that. I'm not suggesting your eyes are unwashed.
You're quite right. But
I could see flaws. I could see flaws. For instance, I'm a fairly muscular, you might say, built guy, and I have sort of sloping shoulders, and I have large traps.
Well, because you've got neck muscles.
I've got this neck muscles, right? Yes. And then when I wore those Italian coats, right, that were supposedly soft tailoring, right, like everything was out there for the world to see. I always use this expression, I look like Quasimodo. I look like the hunchback. So. I look like the hunchback of Notre Dame because you could see all these lumps. You could see all this through the jacket or through the coat. You could see all those lumps here.
You could.
Even from the back of the jacket, you could see those huge straps sticking out of the back. And then without the definition at the shoulder, and they have this thing called spalla camicia, right? Yeah. That it was just bad. Right, I mean, it looked just bad, really, really bad.
Even though these were good tailors.
No, they were
good. The guy in Naples was a good tailor.
The tailoring is not the issue, right? It's sort of the design.
Mm-hmm. So what did you and Mohammed do? Did you cut them open at the seam or something?
So we cut everything open, right? We took the sleeves off. First of all, what we did was that we took the sleeves off completely. Oh. We had to rebuild the shoulders completely.
Right.
Okay. We rebuilt the shoulders and we reinforced it using shoulder padding. Right.
So was there no shoulder padding?
There was very little. They used what they call wadding.
Right, okay.
Right.
Okay.
The Italians or Neapolitans, they use what they call wadding at the shoulder. Sometimes it's just a piece of canvas. Right. So we had to remove the sleeves completely. And if you know anything about sort of Italian tailoring or Neapolitan, they tend to cut a very narrow shoulder.
Right.
So there is no shoulder extension.
Right.
So I started reading, I started studying Schultz's work.
Right.
At about the time, reading about the drape cut and sort of how to, the extended shoulder. I'm like, okay, how do I sort of re-engineer, how do I decompose this jacket and rebuild it with a little bit more drape?
And was it successful?
It was successful enough for the light bulb to go off in my mind.
Right. Okay.
And so what happened was that, again, we took off the sleeves, we rebuilt the shoulders, and I told him to let out everything that was left in the sleeve.
Which probably wasn't very much.
But I was able to get maybe about an inch or inch and a half.
Okay.
Right? Now, what happened was that I was able to get about an inch and a half out of the shoulders. And then we rebuilt the shoulders with structure. Now, that made the jacket look completely different once we rehung the sleeves.
And you were able to do that without sort of wrecking the jacket completely?
100%. We were now able to rehang the sleeves, And when I had him rehang the sleeves, and I had him sort of rope the sleeve head,
there was enough in it.
there was enough for
It
him to
didn't
sort
make the arm too short.
because it was, but we could extend the
Right,
arms
right.
from here. We had to undo the spalla camicia,
Right.
and then sort of, because we now put padding in the shoulder and reinforce the shoulder, we now rebuilt the sleeve head, right? And created a rope. It was now more of a sort of a roped shoulder, right? So with the shoulder extension, we were able to get the 1.5 inch or so, 1 inch or so, we were able to.
On either side.
On either side, it made the shoulder slightly wider. And now when we hung the sleeves, after reconstructing the sleeve head into a roped head, right? The sleeves draped so beautifully and clean.
So the cut of the sleeve was sufficiently loose that
I had him open the sleeves too.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I had him open everything. I had him open up this. So I had him take off the sleeves, lay them, open it, and literally give me everything. I said, give me everything you can give me in the sleeve head. Right? So I said, give me everything in the sleeve. The chest here, okay? Because we had to take off the sleeve. I said, give me everything you can give me in the chest.
The only thing you couldn't do was make the armhole higher.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Everything else, I literally sort of maxed out on the inlay.
Wow.
Like literally everything in the top block.
So it's almost like making a whole new one.
It's a whole new garment.
Right?
Yeah. So what I did was that I opened this up. I increased the cross chest.
Right.
By opening this up, by taking off the sleeves, I took all the inlay here. I said, give me everything you can give me. So I had a wider cross chest, which created a little bit more drape in the chest. I told him to open up the sleeves and give me everything in the sleeves, which created a fuller sleeve head and sleeve in general.
Okay.
I had extended the shoulder slightly.
Yeah.
So when we now rehung the shoulder, the sleeves were draping perfectly.
Yeah, okay.
Whereas before, when the shoulders were smaller, the sleeves were sort of like, you could see my forearms bulging out on the side. So now with the sleeve head reconstructed, the shoulder reconstructed, the chest drape, the cross chest opened up, right? It now started to look like a drape jacket.
Even though that wasn't
even though it wasn't fundamentally, even if it wasn't, though it wasn't the fundamental design. And what else shocked me was that when I stood up in the garment, right, like before, the jacket would just lie on me, right? And I couldn't see the shape of the coat, right? Now, when I put these shoulder pads in, right, and sort of created a bit more structure, guess what it did? It lifted up the jacket a little bit. And when you lift up the jacket, come, let me show. When you lift up the jacket like this, guess what happens? You can see the shape of the coat.
Yes.
Now you can see the shape of, when it's lying on you, right? It just lies on you like a piece of cloth.
Yes.
When the jacket is structured and you lift this up, okay? Let me do this, okay? When I lift this up, watch how you see the silhouette. Watch how the silhouette, Captain, are you watching? When I lift this up, what happens? You see the shape. So this is what happened when I created structure in the shoulder, right? And lifted up the jacket a little bit, right? I could now see the shape of the jacket better.
Okay. Like the shape you've got.
But this is fundamental. This is just like the shape you've got, right? But this is from the design. This is straight from the pattern. Right.
But that was from the rebuilding.
It was from the rebuilding.
Wow.
So it was all these things that I was sort of recording, making a note of all these observations, right? And I was like, aha, I think I figured it out.
Yes.
So I said to myself, if I were to reverse engineer this process and create a coat or jacket, how would I do it?
Right.
I had to now go to the drawing board and draft a pattern based on all these changes that I had made.
Indeed.
To the Italian jacket. And that is how the AskOkey cut was born.
So Muhammad, he must have been a bit surprised when you came in and said, I want you to take this apart and work on it and put it back together again.
Yeah, I mean,
'Cause he's accustomed to doing things like taking in
like
the waist,
taking in the waist,
taking
and
up the sleeves.
But he was very, very talented, very gifted at basically what he does, which is he's not a bespoke tailor, he can't make a garment, but he's a good mechanic.
Yeah.
He's very good mechanic, and if you tell him do this, and he did everything perfectly.
Yeah, no. He's done some stuff for me, and he's very quiet. He doesn't say much, but he does exactly what but he actually knows. He knows more than me what needs to be done, and so if I go and tell him take up the back rise, he'll sort of look at it and he'll mutter. You know how he is, and then he'll do it. But still, it's quite a job and a bit of a risk because you take it apart. It's like taking a watch apart. There's no guarantee that you're going to get the parts to go back together again.
I mean, I did it for the first few garments. Like I did it for a couple of jackets, and I was like, And then when I figured out how to do it, then we now did it for literally all the jackets.
Right.
In my wardrobe, in my that's
How
sort
long
of
did
all
that
the
take?
Italian. It took a while.
Yeah, it must have done. Yes.
It took a while. It took a while. Again, like I said, ironically, or sadly, I don't wear those garments. I mean, they're sitting there in my library. Maybe one day my sons might inherit them. I mean, they're still very wearable.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And they don't even look that much like Italian jackets anymore because of what I've done to them. I've kind of like, performed.
Yeah, but there's some nice pieces in there.
Yeah, they are still there. I mean, beautiful fabric. All those fabrics were from Harrison's. So beautiful premium fabric.
I know.
Now that I know better, for instance, the reason why I can't wear those jackets today is the armhole. Okay. And I noticed this right away when I'm driving in my Italian jacket. I can't drive.
Right.
I have to take my coat off.
Right.
I have to take my coat off.
Because the arms come way up.
Because the arms come way off and I can't reach. And when I'm driving in an AskOkey jacket, it's like the difference is like completely night and day. And when you want an AskOkey jacket or any jacket that is cut with a high armhole, you will never wear anything else.
No.
Yeah, I mean, you understand what I mean.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
You will never wear anything. It just, anything else just feels uncomfortable.
Even the AskOkey jacket has a fairly generous, at least mine, when they come from the workshop, always have a fairly generous armhole. It could probably be even tighter. The interesting thing is that also you can't get that high armhole easily ready to wear. You used to. But latterly, no. And so if the Italian jacket is so unwearable, you have to ask yourself why the Italian tailors make them like that.
I have no idea.
Did you ever ask them?
No, I mean, most people don't know. Again, for instance, I didn't know any better. Like when I wore those jackets, even I didn't notice sort of like the armholes weren't high enough. I mean, they felt fine to me.
But when you got, for example, your stuff made by Oxford, how was the armhole there?
I mean, again, this was all made to measure, right?
Right,
Oxford is made to measure. So it's not particularly, I mean, it's not what you would call sort of bespoke, right? So it's still sort of, it's a block, it's made from a block pattern. So anything that is made from a block pattern is going to have I would say, sort of generally sort of low to medium armhole because it's made to suit as many people as possible.
But our suits, our jackets, our made-to-measure jackets, they have a pretty high armhole.
Because we insisted.
Okay.
Because we insisted.
Sure, okay.
So
it's possible.
It's possible, but you have to draft the block.
The designer actually has to do it.
The designer actually has to do it. The original block. If it's an MTM, obviously, if it's bespoke, it's your block. Right? It's your custom block.
But if you don't ask for it, even with a bespoke tailor, if you don't ask for it, you may not get it.
You may not get it, absolutely.
Okay. I remember before I became involved with AskOkey, actually telling the tailor, look, I want this armhole really, really high. And I remember one occasion he was kind of looking at me saying, well, what are you talking about? I said, no, it's got to be right up here. And yeah, he did it. But
like if you feel like when I put on my jackets, right, I can feel it digging into my armholes.
Right, okay. Well,
right?
that's
into my armpit.
How it should be. Yeah,
I could feel it digging into, like, literally, I feel it digging into my armpit. And that's how I tell
yes.
them to cut my armholes. I'm like, just keep going. They're like, should I go somewhere? I'm like, keep going,
A little
keep
bit
going,
higher.
keep going, a little bit higher, you know,
Yes.
till
Yeah,
literally I can feel it, like literally almost sort of to a
yes.
point of discomfort, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
You know, cutting into my armpit. That's when I know it's high enough.
Yeah, but that's where you get the mobility, and that's where you get the flexibility as well. If only if you've got that height, you know. So that.
But it's also a balance, because if it's too high, then, well, I mean, this is more of a tailoring issue. But if the armhole is too high, right, it's gonna create some problems here in the chest.
Ah, right. Okay.
So you know, it's sort of it's you know, you have to sort of like, it's something I've sort of learned over time with experience. There's a fine balance where you go too much and it starts to sort of create it's sort of, it becomes a bit too tight here in the chest, and then you have to sort of let it out, or sort of maybe open up the armhole a little bit. But there's usually sort of a fine point where if you go beyond that, it starts to affect the shape of the chest.
Wow.
So you have to just know where to stop.
Interesting.
So what we do for our customers, bespoke customers, for instance, because we go through several, you know, TOFs or test of fits, you know, we usually start as high as possible, and sometimes they'll complain.
Okay.
Right? You know, so we start as high as possible with the armhole, because that's really, again, what defines the chest. The higher the armhole, the more beautiful, the more you can shape the chest.
As long as it's not too high.
As long as it's not too high. So usually with our customers, with the TOF, we started with an extremely high armhole. And then usually they will say, oh my God, it's too, I can't move, I can't move, but for seasoned bespoke customers, they know that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
But for those who are just on their first rodeo, sometimes you have to explain to them that's the way it should be. And even then they're like, yeah, I know that's the way it should be, but it feels a bit uncomfortable.
Yes, but it would feel more uncomfortable when you try to move, you see. And that's the thing, is that you may get a little bit of discomfort, but that's where you get your mobility.
See, that's the thing, Pete, is that most people don't know that, right?
Okay.
Most people sort of, first of all, because think about it, right? The discomfort of a garment poking into your armpits is more present and prescient.
True.
You feel it like literally, you know. The discomfort of not being able to reach for salt or being able to sort of do things, or that is not something you feel when you're sitting still.
Yeah, true.
And most people sit still in their you know, suits in their office or on the seat and so on. And they don't know, they don't understand this mechanic, so it doesn't bother them that the armhole is so low or doesn't allow them to perform certain functions. But sitting with a jacket that keeps on poking in your armpit, right? That is just sort of, it's like a mosquito in your ear, you know. So that they feel more, and that's why a lot of our customers complain about a high, you know, armhole being a little bit initially being uncomfortable.
Amazing. So it's a trial and error. It's a lot of learning, a lot of experimenting, just as if you're doing anything. You know, it's like they say, if you want to learn to play an instrument, the violin or something, you've got to put in all those hours before you get to a point where you're good at it. I wanted to take a quick look and just with you here, because we've got these new SKUs, these new garments, and I think they came out quite well. This one here, the double-breasted jacket. Now that's what beauty. You call, is that a 4x1?
That's a 4x2.
A 4x2.
Yes.
So that the pairs of buttons are directly under each other.
The 4x2 is sort of it buttons at the natural waist. Yeah. Right. So, you know, if this were a 6x2, it would have two more buttons at the top.
But would it button in the same place?
Yes.
Ah, okay. So it's just those other two buttons. So what's the difference other than that?
Between a 4x2 and a 4x1?
No, 4x2 and a 6x2. It's only the two buttons.
It's just the two decorative buttons.
Oh, just that.
For all intents and purposes, it's the same garment.
It's the same thing.
It's just sort of without the two top buttons.
Does it, by having only these 4 buttons, does it make the lapel look longer, I wonder?
I think it just makes, for me, it's less crowded.
Right.
And so if you're shorter, for instance, you want fewer buttons. So Tim is about 5'6". So he sort of is partial to a single button on a single-breasted coat, and this would be like the equivalent of a single button on a double-breasted coat. So the less buttons there are, the less cluttered it is, and sort of the more longer the silhouette looks. So again, it adds or gives this illusion of height.
Yes, and then you've got the quite long skirt coming down there as well.
Correct. Because imagine if you had two buttons up here, it just all looks very crowded.
And you've got this one, essentially, the waistline is at the halfway point, isn't it? It's
correct.
It's quite ingenious that. And despite it being made to measure, it comes out looking very well.
Incredible shape to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just what I really love about our workshop in Japan. The shoulders are just incredibly well done. I mean, the Japanese are just clinical when it comes to finishing. I mean, look at those shoulders, right? Not a lot of bespoke tailors can get that.
Really?
Oh, yes, 100%.
Why not?
Because it's an art.
No, but I mean, they can draw a pattern.
They could, but it's just the finishing.
Ah, right, okay.
Look at the finishing.
Oh, no, it's marvelous. And they've got a little bit of roping in it.
You know, look at the finishing. It's just clinical. Just look at the lines. So clean. Look at the drape. Look at the angle. Look at the sleeve head.
I was just going to say, what you notice, Prof, is that the seam where the sleeve meets the shoulder is actually not straight. It's angled off.
Well, it should be angled off. It can be straight, right?
No,
Same with all our garments, right? It should be angled off because remember, we're cutting an extended shoulder. If you're
even on the made to measure.
Even on the made to measure. If you're using a regular natural shoulder, that line will be straight.
Right, okay.
Do you see the
I do.
Do you see the geometrics there?
Yes, I do.
So because you're cutting an extended shoulder, that line has to be diagonal.
And it is.
You can see that, right?
Yes. And you've got nice fold on either side.
And you know why that is?
The extended chest.
It's not just that. I've always talked about, people say, oh, why do you use a lot of fabric? You waste a lot of fabric. And I mean, again, nobody taught me this, right? This is just common sense. This is just engineering or art. We had a podcast, 2 or 3 podcasts ago. Remember when we talked about how to shape
the distance.
The distance and sort of how to create that 3-dimensional look, right? So you see how this looks 3-dimensional?
Yes.
The reason is because to sculpt, right? To sculpt or to sculpt anything or to mold anything, you have to have enough excess material to create those curves.
Sure.
And to create sort of those 3-dimensional, otherwise it will just be flat. If you're just sewing it seam to seam, you've seen a lot of jackets, right? Where there's just it's just basically the chest ends and the sleeve head starts.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just flat.
And sometimes the sleeve starts further in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm talking about the way most tailors, right? Stitch the joints. If you look at my jacket, for instance, right? You can see clearly the roping. You can see the excess fabric.
The outside.
Exactly. Even
same
yours.
on mine.
Same with yours. You can see this excess here. You can see how this is in 3 dimensions, how it's sort of round. Right?
Absolutely.
Some tailors or most tailors, this would be flat.
Yes.
Like that.
Yes.
See what I'm saying? It would just be flat, like just the chest ending and the sleeve beginning. Right? And part of what I think our art is, right? Or sort of my vision of it is like every joint should be music.
Sculpted.
Yeah. Every joint on the jacket should be a beautiful dance, right? It shouldn't just be sort of piecing fabric together and just sort of stitching them, right? It should be a little bit of drama, right? There should be a little bit of beauty, even in the joints. And that's why I always insist on sort of like cutting everything fuller. Amazing. Cut the sleeve head fuller, cut the chest fuller, because if you don't have all that excess fullness, you're not going to be able to create this beautiful shape.
No, and I remember on some of the first.
Do you understand what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
I do, 100%. Because I remember on some of the first AskOkey jackets, when you looked at them, you remember? Remember when you looked at them in the workshop before they were released? Remember how you looked at them and said, no, we need more. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And so now I understand. So here, and because, Prof, look, I mean, this part of the jacket you see very, very readily, so it has to look good because that's a part that is going to catch the eye. But this is interesting. So Tim's got the strong lapels that we know are on the AskOkey, double-breasted, a little bit more pointed, I think.
Angled upwards.
Angled upwards a little bit, but still a fairly low gorge line there. And then we've got this amazing 4x1.
6x1.
6x1, sorry. And that really does have a long lapel. Now, do we have that 6x1 in the bespoke?
No, we don't. I'm just in the process of designing one.
Okay.
So it's one of those things. We started with the 4x2, and then we did the 6x2. We did the 4x1, and we never got quite to the 6x1 because it's a bit of an eccentric cut.
I suppose.
It's, so
1980s.
It's sort of, it gives us sort of that Giorgio Armani American Gigolo,
right,
American Gigolo vibe, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's sort of, it's a louch, more casual, breezy cut than say the 6x2.
Absolutely.
The 6x2 is a very sort of regimental British.
Yeah, it looks a bit like a military
Yeah,
uniform,
it's a regimental.
it?
It's a regimental British cut. Yes.
But this is really something, isn't it?
It is beautiful, very beautifully executed.
Yeah, and again,
and not very easy to do. The 6x1 is probably one of the most difficult double-breasted garments to execute.
Why?
Well, because it buttons at the hip.
Yeah.
Right? So the 6x2, right? The 6x2, right? If I have a double-breasted coat here, I don't have any.
You have
I have one. No, that's a. Okay, so this is this is a 4x1.
That's a 4x1.
I can't take my coat off because my mic
it's got a fairly long lapel.
Okay, so this is a 4x1, which would be sort of the equivalent of a 6x1.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
This buttons at the hip, not at the natural waist.
Right.
Your natural waist is right around
about there. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It buttons at the hip. So if I were wearing a 6x1 jacket, double-breasted, it would button right here.
Yep.
Which means the lapel has to travel all the way from here to there.
Yeah.
That's quite some distance.
It is.
So the way you shape the lapel is really critical.
Okay.
The angle, the travel path of the lapel, it could really go wrong very quickly.
Oh, really?
Because you have a longer distance to cover.
Yeah.
With the 4x2, with the 6x2, you have a shorter distance to cover, literally from here to here.
Yeah.
So the lapel is there, you kind of like go when you're going from here all the way down to there, right?
Yes.
That's a long way.
And there's greater risk of pulling and creasing
So
in the
many
middle.
things can go wrong, right? So many things, the shape has to be perfect. The belly has to be right on point so as to not obscure the breast pocket. You understand?
Sure.
It has to be angled right. Okay? For instance, on our 4x2, which buttons up here, we have a more horizontal.
Sure you do.
A more horizontal pointing peak, right? You can't do that with a 6x1. You understand?
Yeah, I do.
So that's why you're telling me that it's sort of like kind of the peak is sort of like angled upwards.
Up, yes.
Because it must be angled up, right? To get that line right, you can't be pointing that way.
No.
Right? You have to sort of think about it.
There you go. You
exactly.
See it pointing up. Yeah.
So you have to point up if you want to travel a longer distance. If you want to travel a shorter distance, you can make the angle more acute.
Yes.
You understand? You can make it more acute, more obtuse actually. More of an obtuse angle.
Flatter angle.
Right, a flatter angle because you're traveling a shorter distance.
Yes.
You can make it a flatter angle. If you're going to go that long distance, then the angle of the lapel has to change and point upwards.
Amazing.
So you have to take into consideration the gorge height also because if you're traveling all that distance, you have to change also the height of the gorge.
Yep.
because otherwise the lapel seems too long and out of the balance. So you have to drop the gauge to sort of do the heavy lifting, a little bit of the lifting.
Amazing.
You understand what I'm saying? So otherwise, if you use the same, say, gauge height as you use in another jacket, the lapel would be sort of all the way up there.
That's right, yes. Yes,
And it would just look so monstrous going all the way. So you have to drop the gauge, right? Not only drop the gauge, you have to change the shape, you have to change the angle of the lapel, and also play around with the proportions and the shape.
Amazing.
Because you can't, it has to clear the pocket.
Yep.
So you have to sort of play a little bit with the belly, the way the lapel is bellied.
And then you've got the customer's own shape.
And then you have to bring it out again. And then you have to worry about the customer's shape as well. So it's not a very easy garment to execute by any means. So the fact that we were able to nail it on the MTM, it's a little bit of a miracle. And it looks absolutely marvelous.
And the point about being able to do this for tall people, thin people, short people, wide people, and so forth. But I think that the way that it's come out, again with those roped shoulders and the chest there, and then the final one and the next unit that we've produced for Made to Measure is the 3-piece, and we've got the same really striking shoulder there, and that nice lapel. That's a 3-2?
That's a 3-roll 2, I believe, jacket.
Yes, I think so. Yes. But you've got, again, they've achieved the
beautiful
shoulder angle, haven't they?
Beautiful shoulders. I mean, they I mean, like I said, really, I mean, I even sort of say, I wouldn't say this very, but I might as well. I mean, I think that the shoulders, I mean, especially the top block on our MTM, is better than anything I've seen out there, right? Is just as, the only thing is that with our bespoke garments, we're able to sort of play around with the roping.
Right.
You know, we're able to we can play around with the shoulder expression a little bit more than the MTM. But in terms of just the clinical, the finishing on the shoulders of those MTM, I've never seen anything that good anywhere, bespoke or MTM, anywhere.
Interesting. I'll take your word for it.
Just absolutely clinical, the finishing on the shoulders. Shoulders and the sleeve head. Absolutely beautiful.
And of course, that's where it starts, isn't it?
And that's where the eye starts. And you nail that, you get that right, everything else flows. You fuck that up, the rest of the garment is in trouble.
Well, I remember you, a few podcasts ago, you were explaining, when we had the mannequin up, you were explaining all about that. But I think with the, it's an interesting pattern that he's chosen there, because that very large window pane, and they've managed to get the pattern matching, I think, just about perfect, Prof.
Well, I mean, it's MTM, so again, it's not going to be as perfect as bespoke.
Right.
Because it's being made from a standard block. So don't expect a perfect sort of, match. If we did this in bespoke, for instance, we would match everything.
You could match the waistcoat.
You could even match the waistcoat with the trousers.
Right,
We could match everything. But with MTM, it's a little bit more tricky because it's a standard block, so you're not going to be able to get that.
Especially with this very wide.
With very wide checks pane. Like that, wide window panes. Yeah.
So everybody, Made to Measure, AskOkey, need we say more? Double-breasted jacket in the 4x2, the 4x1, if you like, the longer lapel, or the 3-roll 2 3-piece suit with the waistcoat. Prof, thank you very much.
Always a pleasure, Pete.
Great pleasure.
We were just getting right into it. This could have gone on for another hour.
Easily. And we look forward to being with you again next time. Bye for now.
Thanks, guys. Prof.